Another early morning download, people. I wanted to share some of my personal experience before I go into the message. And the message today, I'm going to playfully call this the Black History Onslaught. The Black History Onslaught. And once I get into the message, you'll know why. By the time you get this message, it probably will be past the time that this is observed, but it's Black History Month right now, or for those of you who want to be politically correct, African American History Month, which is celebrated in the U.S. the month of February. And it basically observes the achievements of African Americans who contributed to the development of this country throughout the years. And there's usually different events that are held, different programs that are conducted in various communities throughout the years. And it's a pretty good thing because there are a lot of museums that have exhibits, lectures being held. As a matter of fact, I usually make it a point myself to try to look up, local events and try to make it a point to go to at least one or two throughout the month myself to take in a little bit of local history, especially since I live in an area in which I'm not born, so it gives me a chance to learn a little bit myself. So, anyway, as you may know, I did change positions. The job that I had when I started this channel, I no longer have. I leveled up to a full-time job, and one of the perks of the job is they have it where they offer free public transportation, where I could just ride anywhere I want on all the free public transportation that's being offered in the region. And that's pretty good. All I have to do is just show my credentials when I board all the public transportation, and I can just ride. And it's on the company's dime. So anytime that I'm ready to go, I can go. And that saves a lot of money because this is a pretty broad region. We've got a total of 6 cities on one side of the tunnel, and 2 additional cities on the exterior. So we're talking about at least 8 cities that I have access to that I could ride by way of bus, rail, and there's also a ferry that I can get on. So, going to and from work and getting around, you come across some very interesting people on the buses. And the other day, I was on my way into the office, and the Black History thing, some people feel that they become suddenly enlightened during Black History Month, and they feel they have to share their so-called knowledge of Black history, or they feel that they've got to be a cheerleader, or they have to encourage their people or talk about how lost we are, or they become street philosophers or street preachers. But it's only during Black History Month. The other months of the year, you don't hear jack shit from these people. I know some of you are laughing in the background, but you know some of these folks, And there's this guy on the bus, and he evidently has some kind of a mental problem. By the way, he was delivering. Eventually, I had to put my headphones on because he was extremely loud. He was talking about how lost Black people were and how the Bible said this and the Bible said that and everything. And it had me to thinking about some things. And some of the things that he said, actually, as convoluted as they were, kind of gave me some material about a couple of other topics that I'm going to speak about a little bit later on. So I kind of thank him for his tirade. And it made me think about one thing, though. He went on for a few minutes, and when he realized he wasn't getting the attention of the few people that were sitting in his vicinity, he stopped. See, what it was is that it was attention-seeking behavior. See, before me and a few other people got on the bus, he was quiet. But when he saw there were some people around, he decided to get into this loud tirade about black history and the people and the white man and the government and some other things that were all twisted up and wrong. And a few personal things he threw in there about his brother or whatever. And I started to think, I said to myself, well, he had at one point, right? We are lost as a people, but a little bit more lost than I thought. And it all goes back to having to go back to the true meaning, having to go back to source. Not sources, but the source. We have to dig a little bit deeper and have to go back a little further. If you're a person of color, you were taught that your civilization started with the scripture that you read. And that's not true. And I'm sorry for those of you who are based in a religion that thought that your civilization started with the scripture that you read. But you have to understand somebody had to write that scripture, which means that that civilization had to exist for that person to write that scripture. That culture had to exist for that person to write that scripture. And a lot of religions have people brainwashed to believe that not a single culture, not a single group of people even existed until that scripture was written. This could be any scripture. I'm not talking scripture in particular. So you're trying to tell me the Creator created the galaxies and the planets, a tablet or a book, and then life? The tablet or the book might have existed figuratively, but it wasn't in physical form until someone had to put it in physical form. A person had to be created to create the words to put on the paper that had to be made in physical form. You guys see what I'm saying? There had to be a civilization to create the paper, to create the ink, to harvest the trees to create the paper. Who did it? Where did the knowledge come from to create these inventions, to develop this? See, nobody wants to go deeper than that. Nobody, there's a handful of people that do, and a handful of people who wants to go before the book. The handful of people who wants to investigate before the publication of the book, they're being labeled as atheists, agnostics, they're being labeled as non-believers, they're being labeled as witches and everything else just because they want to see what happened before the book published. It's not that they're non-believers. A lot of these people are believers. They just want to see what happened behind the scenes. What's wrong with trying to see what happened behind the scenes? It's not a bad thing, people. And before I end this, because it's not going to be a short one, There was something that I was looking into the other day. Me being an African American female, I've been using a term in regards to the motherland for years, and recently found out that I've been calling the motherland the wrong name for the longest time. Africa is not Africa, people. Africa has been given the wrong name for the longest time. That's right, people. The motherland was not originally named Africa. Google it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I can tell you this much. The original name of the continent of Africa was not called Africa. It was given the name Africa by the Greeks and the Romans many years after the continent and the civilizations within existed. Google the original name of the motherland and the meaning of that word. It'll open your eyes. It'll open your eyes. And once you see that, then you'll start to wonder what else is being distorted and what else is being hidden as far as the basis of our culture as African American people is concerned. Black history, as we know it, is it our true history? That's the question. We need to dig deeper, people. We need to dig deeper. And with that, I'm going to let you go. Peace to you all.